Hi, I'm Masumi. This is Laura, and together we're Two Fit Moms. It's never too late to start a yoga practice. Even if this is the first time that you're rolling out your yoga mat, you don't have to be intimidated. Yoga really is for everyone. Today we will teach you a few fundamental yoga poses, and then we will lead you through a short sequence that you can practice at home. So let's start out with something familiar. Plank pose or top of a push-up. Laura, can you come into plank pose, please? In plank pose, your shoulders are stacked directly above your wrists. Your body makes a straight line from head to heel. Your core is pulled in, and your hips are not sinking down towards the ground, and they're not lifted up towards the sky. Your body's quite neutral, and you're remembering to breathe deeply in and out through your nose. It's a nice strengthening pose. From here, we're going to move into downward facing dog. So keep your hands and your feet exactly as they are, and simply lift your hips up and back. Once you lift your hips up and back, if you don't feel quite right, feel free to adjust your hands and your feet by a couple of inches, but it's a great starting point. So let's try that again. Laura, pull forward into plank pose, top of a push-up. And then lift your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, you may be stretching out your hamstrings for the very first time, so feel free to pedal out your feet, maybe wiggle your hips. Do what you need to do before you settle into the pose and find some stillness. Once you're in downward facing dog, make sure that your body feels like the upside down letter V. Make sure that your fingers are spread and that you're clawing your mat. Rotate your biceps forward so that your inner elbow creases are pointing towards the front of the room. That will automatically send your shoulder blades down your back. Your core is pulled in. Even your legs are active, so your quadriceps are pulling up and away from the knees. Downward facing dog is often called a resting pose in yoga, but as you notice, everything is really active. So from downward facing dog, we're going to move to our first standing pose, Warrior One. So Laura, please step your right foot forward in between your hands. Spin your back heel down and take a quick glance and see if the heel of your front foot is aligned with the heel of your back foot. And then lift your torso up to vertical, sweeping your arms up towards the sky. In Warrior One, your front leg is bent at a 90-degree angle. Your knee is stacked directly over your ankle. Now, Laura, could you please put your hands on your hips, because it's very important that our hip points are equidistant to the front of the room. So we need to square the hips off, meaning pull the right hip back in space and pull the left hip forward. And then extend your arms back up towards the sky. In yoga, we have to make sure that everything is active, so your fingers are active, jazz hands. Shoulders are rolled down and away from the ears. Core is pulled in. Tail is tucked slightly under. And then maybe take a look down and see if you can see your big toe. If you can't see it, it might mean that your right knee is collapsing inward. So make an effort to roll your knee out to the side. And then bring your hands back down to the ground. Step back, plank pose. And then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. And in yoga, we always practice on both sides of the body, so you'll now have an opportunity to practice Warrior One on the left side. So Laura, please step your left foot forward in between your hands. Spin your back heel down. Again, take a quick look, check for heel to heel alignment, and then sweep your arms up overhead, lifting your torso up. Great. Check to make sure that your front knee is over your front ankle. You're bending into that front leg to create a 90-degree angle. And then bring your hands back down on your hips so that you can self-adjust. Bring your left hip back in space and your right hip forward, getting those hip points equidistant to the front of the mat. And then sweep your arms back up and over your head, Warrior One. Hands are active, shoulders are rolled down, core is pulled in, tail is tucked slightly under, and you can see your big toe because you're making an effort to move that left knee out to the side if necessary. And bring your hands down to the ground. Step back, plank pose. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then begin to walk your hands back toward your feet. Once you get back to your feet, maybe grab opposite elbows and hang, allowing the weight of your torso to really help stretch out your hamstrings. And release your arms, put a slight bend in your knees, and sweep your arms out and up over your head, reverse swan dive. Watch your palms touch. And then separate your hands, bending your knees for chair pose. In chair pose, your hands are active. Your shoulders are rolled down. Your core is pulled in. And your tail is tucked under. Your thighs are as close to parallel to your mat as possible, and you're shifting your weight back onto your heels so that you can lift all 10 toes off of the mat if you needed to. This is a great strengthening pose. Breathe here deeply through your nose, and then stand up straight. Bring your hands together in prayer in front of your heart. Inhale, sweep your arms out and up over your head. Watch your palms touch. And exhale, swan dive down, forward fold, stretch out your hamstrings. Take a moment here to breathe. And then begin to walk your hands out into plank pose, top of a push-up. From here, we're going to move on to caterpillar pose, which is a great pose if you have any kind of shoulder injury or if you're trying to build up the strength to do a full push-up. So keep your elbows pinned to your sides. Lower your knees to the ground, lower your chest and chin to the ground. This is caterpillar pose. Untuck your toes, press into the palms of your hands, roll your shoulders back. This is upward facing dog. In upward facing dog, only the palms of your hands and the tops of your feet are touching the mat. Everything else is lifted. So lift your thighs, lift your knees, lift your shins. And roll back over the toes, push back, downward facing dog. Take a moment here, and let's repeat that a little bit faster. So pull forward, plank pose, top of a push-up. Lower knees, chest, chin, caterpillar pose. Untuck the toes, roll your shoulders back, upward facing dog, and then roll back over the toes, downward facing dog. Take a moment, take a nice deep inhale and exhale. We're now going to move forward into a full chaturanga push-up. So Laura, pull forward into plank pose, top of a push-up. Keep your elbows pinned into your sides. Lower halfway so that your arms create 90-degree angles. Then untuck your toes, roll your shoulders back, upward facing dog. And then roll back over the toes, downward facing dog. And just for good measure, let's do that once more. Pull forward, plank pose, top of a push-up. Lower halfway, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then roll back over the toes, downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath here. And let's walk our hands back towards our feet. Just like before, grab opposite elbows. Hang. Stretch out your hamstrings. Release your hands and slowly rise up to a standing position. Your head is the last body part to rise. And bring your hands together in front of your heart.
Great. So let's take these postures and put them to a flow. So Surya Namaskara A and Surya Namaskara B, which are sun salutations, and usually the first two yoga flows that you learn when you start your yoga practice. So Masumi's going to step to the top of her mat, bringing her big toes to touch. So she's going to spread her toes wide, really gripping into the mat and rooting down through the soles of her feet. Standing up nice and tall, extending the arms out alongside of her, palms facing out. Chin is parallel to the mat. And just taking a moment here, right? So closing your eyes down for just a moment. Maybe taking a deep breath in through the nose. And then letting it go out through the mouth. And then on your next big inhale, you're going to sweep the arms up. Maybe look up, watching the palms touch overhead. And then exhale, leading with the heart, swan diving all the way down into your forward fold. Good. And then inhale, come back up onto fingertips, lengthen the spine, maybe look forward. Exhale, fold down. And then inhale, plant the hands and step back to plank pose, top of a push-up. So your high plank, spreading the fingers wide, straight line from head to heel. Take a deep breath in here. And then on the exhale, let's lower your knees, your chest, and your chin for the first round. Good. So inhale, rolling over the toes, scooping up, upward facing dog, rolling the shoulders down and away. And then exhale, rolling over the toes for downward facing dog. So downward facing dog is your resting pose. It's also the pose where you reset your breath. So breathe deeply here. Good. Bring your focus and awareness back into your body. Then on your next inhale, look forward, put a slight bend in your knees, and then exhale, walk or jump to the top of your mat. Good. Inhale, lengthen, look forward, and then exhale, fold down. Good. Inhale, rooting down through your toes, spread the hands up wide, look up, watch the palms touch, so swan dive all the way up. And then exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. So we're gonna go through this 2 more times, a little bit quicker. So inhale, swan dive, look up, watch the palms touch overhead. And then exhale, really taking up space, swan dive down, forward fold. Good. Inhale, lengthen, look forward. And then exhale, fold down. On your next inhale, plant your hands, step back to high plank, top of a push-up. Inhale here. And then exhale, lower halfway, so caterpillar or chaturanga dandasana. Inhale over the toes, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So a shorter hold here, but once again, find your breath in this posture. Really grip the mat, root down underneath the index and thumb knuckle. And then inhale, look forward, bending your knees. Exhale, lightly jump to the top of your mat. Good. Inhale, look up, lengthen, and then exhale, fold down. Then inhale, reverse swan dive, look up, watching the palms touch up overhead. Then exhale, hands together in prayer in front of your heart. So 1 more round, so inhale, sweep the arms up, gaze up. Exhale, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, look up, lengthen, then exhale, fold. Inhale, plant your hands, step back to high plank, top of a push-up. Inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog, rolling the shoulders back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good, so short hold, 1 deep breath. So inhale deeply through the nose, and then exhale out through the nose or the mouth if you feel more comfortable that way. Inhale, look forward, bend your knees. Exhale, lightly jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rooting down through your toes. Sweep the arms up wide, look up, watching the palms touch overhead. Then exhale, hands together in prayer in front of your heart. So let's go through 3 rounds of Surya Namaskara B. So inhale, sweep the arms up as you bend your knees and come back into chair pose. So once again, shifting your weight towards your heels, you should be able to pick up all 10 little piggies, right? Draw your shoulders down and away from your ears and send all that energy up through the fingers. Inhale, standing straight up, and then exhale, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, look up, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, planting your hands down, step back, high plank. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, roll over the toes, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So let's just take 1 breath here. So deep breath in through the nose. And then exhale. Then on your next inhale, step your right foot in between your hands, spin the left heel down, sweep the arms up overhead, and come back into your Warrior One. So once again, Warrior One, your right knee stacks over your right ankle. You should be able to see your right big toe. Right hip will pull back, left hip will pull forward. Good. Roll your shoulders down and away from your ears here. Inhale deeply here. Exhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So one deep breath here once again. So deep breath in, Masumi. And then a long exhale out. Inhale, step your left foot between your hands this time, spinning the right heel down, coming into your warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1 on the left side. So this time your left knee stacks over your left ankle. Good. Your left hip will pull back, right hip pull forward. Shoulders draw down and away from your ears. Nice. And you're sinking pretty deeply into that front leg, right? Trying to get almost the thigh parallel to the mat. Good. Deep breath in here. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, high plank. Inhale here, and then exhale, lower halfway, Chaturanga Dandasana. Then inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So let's take 3 deep breaths here, right? So resetting our breath before we move on. So one more deep breath in and out. Then inhale, look forward, putting a bend in the knees. Exhale, lightly jump to the top of your mat. Good. Inhale, look up, lengthen, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. As you do so, bend your knees and come into chair pose once again. So a shorter hold this time. I'll only make you hold it for maybe 3 breaths this time. Good. So continue breathing here. And then on the next inhale, standing straight up, maybe look up, watch the palms touch. And then exhale, hands to prayer at heart center. So we'll do 2 more rounds a little bit quicker. So inhale, sweep the arms up as you bend your knees and come back into your chair pose. Good. Then inhale, standing straight up, look up, watch the palms touch. And then exhale, swan diving all the way down into your forward fold. Good. Inhale, lengthen, look forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, plant your hands, step back to high plank. Take a deep breath here. On the exhale, pull forward, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So a little bit shorter hold. So maybe 2 inhales, 2 exhales. Okay. Continuing to breathe deeply. And then inhale, step your right foot in between your hands, spin the back heel down, rise on up, warrior one. Good, drawing the shoulders down and away from your ears. Good, so we'll take 2 inhales and 2 exhales here. Sinking down a little bit into that right thigh, into that right leg. Then inhale here, exhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Inhale, exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Okay. So continue breathing here. So one more deep breath, Masumi. And then on your next inhale, step your left foot in between your hands, spin the back heel down, rise on up, warrior one on the left side. And it really helps if you can hear your breath moving in and out through your body. And then inhale here, exhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lower halfway, so shift forward and lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Continue breathing. And then inhale, look forward, bending your knees. Exhale, lightly jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, look up, flat back, lengthen. And then exhale, fold down. Good. Inhale, reverse swan dive. As you come up, bend your knees and sit back in your chair just for a few moments. So nothing crazy. So inhale, standing straight up, look up, watching the palms touch. And then exhale, hands to heart center. So one more round very quickly. So inhale, sweep the arms up, bend your knees and come into your chair pose. Good. Then inhale, standing straight up, look up, watch the palms touch. And then exhale, leading with your heart, swan dive all the way down. Good. Inhale, lengthen, look up. Then exhale, fold. Inhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank. On your next exhale, shift forward, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot in between your hands, spin the back heel down, rise on up, warrior one, just for one breath here. So inhale, exhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Inhale, exhale, shift forward, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, send your left foot in between your hands, spin the right heel down, rise on up, warrior one. So deep breath in here. And then exhale, plant your hands, step back, high plank. Good. On your next exhale, shift forward, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So just one deep breath here. So make it count. Then on your next inhale, look forward, bend your knees. Exhale, lightly jump to the top of your mat. Good. Inhale, lengthen, come up onto fingertips once again. Exhale, fold down. And then inhale, swan dive, look up, reverse it. Watch the palms touch. And then exhale, bring your hands together in prayer in front of your heart. Good. So right now, I'll have Masumi sit down. So come to a comfortable cross-legged seated position. Right. So place your hands on top of your knees. Sit up nice and tall, draw your navel up towards your spine, roll your shoulders down and away from your ears, and take a moment to close your eyes down. And then take a moment to maybe slow your breath down, so coming in back to your normal breathing. And as you sit here, take a moment of gratitude for yourself, for your body, for starting a yoga practice, or maybe continuing on with your yoga journey. So Masumi, take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale, let it out. We hope to see you again on your mat soon. Namaste.